Well, a very good morning. We are going to be planning this flight that's shown on the screen, Alesund to Tromsø, and we're going to fly it in the Fenix A321. But this component is just about the flight planning, because people do ask me when they look at the My Air Discord channel, and in case you didn't know, Discord will run in the browser. How do you get the suggested route into Navigraph charts and or SimBrief? We're just going to take a quick look at that. Okay, so the suggested route shown for this flight, Alesund to Tromsø, is listed here, and it's in a sort of shorthand, if you like, for flight plans. And people wonder where that comes from. Well, that is a copy and paste of what Navigraph Charts has. So let me just load up that flight. Here it is, Alesund to Tromsø. And that line there comes from the edit here, and that is exactly the same. So I just copy that and I paste it into the Discord, what's it called, the events forum for that flight. Okay, so people wonder, what on earth do you do with that? Well, that's what you can do. So let me just do it in reverse. I'm going to unload this flight. Okay, we've got a new route shown in the Discord events forum. While I'm doing this, by the way, I'm loading up the sim in the background, as you can see from the blue line at the bottom. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to work it backwards, what you might do in order to get a suggested route into Navigraph Charts. Okay, so let's open up Navigraph Charts. Let's do a new flight, and let's do the same start and end. So Echo November Alpha Lima for Alesund, and we're going up to Tromsø, which is Echo November Tango Charlie. Okay, and there we've got this is a Great Circle route, the shortest route between 2 points, and it transcribes an arc. But it doesn't have any waypoints or airways or anything like that, whereas what you find here does. So what do we do with this? Well, what we can do is we just copy it, do Control-C to copy that, right-click and copy. Then we go to Navigraph Charts, we can go to the edit, and we can just replace everything in there with, let's do that again, there we go, paste, and that's just brought in the whole route from Discord, and I press done, and you'll see it as if now the sim started up, and now of course it's taking me to the mid-Atlantic. Let's do that again, shall we? There we go. You couldn't write this, could you? There's the route, exactly as defined in Discord in the events forum for this flight. Okay, and what if you now want to bring this into SimBrief? Well, it's much the same story. Okay, so let's do that now. Create a new flight. I'm going to be flying Scandinavian, so SAS. My flight number, as you know, 995. Departure is Echo November Alpha Lima. Arrival is Echo November Tango Charlie. I'm going to fly it in the Fenix A321. So I'm going to choose from the left aircraft type, the A321. It's not a Neo, okay? So I'm going to select that. And then I'll have options here under the variant or aim airframe. If I click that, I'll see Fenix, and this is an IAE engined with sharklets. So that's the one I want. I don't know how many tanks it's got. It might have extra tanks for longer range. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the single one because the route we're doing is not very long. So I'm going to select that one there. Okay, and it's SimBrief has given me a route, but it's not my route. Okay, so how do we get this there? Well, don't forget SimBrief, you've got quite a few options. So we can go through them now. There's one or two of them. Okay, I quite like that one. In fact, that looks very similar. So you could strike lucky. No, it's not quite the one I had. Okay, so you're given some options, or we can just paste in the meat and bones of what we need. Okay, so in the edit here, what we want is the departure, the SID, then the route with all the airways and all the waypoints, and then we want the star, the arrival. That's all that we want. So we highlight that, right click and copy, SimBrief, and we just highlight everything here and paste our bit in. Okay, because we don't want the route, the ICAO for the airports or the runways or the approaches. We just want the departure, the route and the arrival. Now notice that the runways are different. Of course they are, because I'd planned on departing from 24 and arriving on 18. Well, of course they're different. Of course the winds are going to be different. What would you expect? But because they're so scenic, we're going to stick with those. So as I said, we might, if you read the blurb, I said, you know, if the winds aren't favourable, we might need to just switch off real weather. Or if it's a minor tailwind, we can still operate on the ones I've chosen. So let's change the runways. Runway 24, and we're going to do no. And we're going to select runway 18, and we're going to do no. We do not want SimBrief to go and find us new departures, because we've got them already. Okay, we pasted them in with the route. Okay, and there you go. There's our route, 621 nautical miles. Okay, all that remains now is for us to give it an altitude. I'm going to go at flight level 370, and I'm going to define how many passengers I want. Let's go 168. There we go, 168 passengers. Save it as a new flight, and then generate flight. Okay, so we have now managed to bring in from the events forum, from a specified flight, the suggested route into Navigraph charts, and from there into SimBrief. Okay, and you can do it in reverse if you wanted. Not everybody posts routes in this format. I do, because I feel that then you can just copy the whole thing and pop it into Navigraph charts. Okay, others might just post the route without the SIDs or the stars, or the route with listing the runways and the SIDs and the stars separately. But anyway, you get the point. That is the route, because it starts at a waypoint, has an airway, goes to a waypoint, has an airway, goes to another waypoint, has another airway, goes to a waypoint, and then goes direct to another one, which is the beginning of the star ATWEG mic. Okay, so anyway, hopefully that's given you enough to be able to use this for your own routes or for future My Air routes. Okay, I think my sim started up, so I can get on with recording the next bit. Right, so I'll hopefully see you on the ground in a bit at Alesund. Alright, see you there, bye. We're in Alesund, Echo November Alpha Lima in Norway. We're in the fabulous Fenix A321 Scandinavian Airlines livery, and we're going to be flying up to Tromsø. My mind went blank for a moment. Tromsø, Echo November Tango Charlie. I've done the flight planning in a previous prologue, so let's get into the aircraft. So I'll switch off the developer cam, and that'll take us into the cockpit. And okay, well let's make a start. We will use GSX today. It's been a little slow recently, so we'll see what happens. So just import the flight. And yes, I'm late. I'm always late. And let's just go to the weather tab and our departure. So we've got 050 at 7 knots, and I want to use I think it's runway 23, so that's pretty much the opposite direction, 7 knots. But you know what, we can do that. I'm really not going to worry too much about it. It's a long enough runway. It's about 2,500 meters. Okay, so we've got that. Let's get mass and balance. We'll load aircraft. We'll use GSX boarding, and we'll see what they do. It's going to take a moment or two to spring into action. Whilst that's happening, we can go to the PFD, put on the QNH 1017 we have today, and then we can look at the Mach 2. So as always, ATSU, AOC, flight init, request data. And then when that loads, we can go to the init page, init request, and while that's happening, we can go on the first officers and go to the AOC menu and received messages, and we can look at the load sheet. I mean, you can actually read it if you really want to. Okay, so we've done the uplink, so we can just clear the error messages or the messages. We can type in our flight number, so Scandinavian Air Services 995, and we've got, let's get the cost index. So let me bring in the route. Where is it? 53. Okay, so 53. We're going flight level 370. We've got the route in, so let's do the departures and stuff like that. And of course, it's going to be completely inflexible when it comes to the active runway. We'll listen to what the ATIS does, but it's a scenic departure off runway 23, and I'm sort of quite happy to stick to that. Oh, runway 24, in fact, runway 24. My bad. And with Beyond ATC, you don't, you know, if you choose not to use the runway that is in the real world active, you can do whatever you want, and the procedure, the SID or the star that you want, sorry, the SID that you want, and then you can contact Beyond ATC on the departure frequency and say that you're climbing out. So yeah, you've got options really. So we're at runway 24, and we've got listed today the, let me just get up on screen, I'm going to close down that. So the NELSU Foxtrot, NELSU Foxtrot, there it is, and we'll do insert. Okay, then we go to Tromsø arrival, and we'll just look at this, and this is the ATWEG 1 Mike ILS Zulu 18 NONVU. So ATWEG, so ILS Zulu 18, ATWEG 1 Mike, and it was NONVU for the there it is, NONVU. Okay, return, insert. The approach fires and the transitions are steps that we see pilots on my air continually forget, and I know that because when I'm looking at it on little nav map, you know, that they fly from the beginning of the star, the arrival, direct to the airport or direct to where the approach begins. I know it doesn't take, you know, a detective to work out that they just haven't bothered with the star or maybe the transition. Okay, and so please double check that you got the route entered exactly as listed. Okay, so right, we've done that, and I'm not actually hearing anything from GSX. So let's do that again. So we'll reset everything here, go to my flights, tap to import, and then we go to mass balance, and we'll do load aircraft, GSX boarding,
Refueling truck is on its way.
Right, okay, so we can close that. So it's now happening. Okay, I don't know what happened there. Sometimes I guess it stalls. Right, so we're going to be running a little late on that. So we've got the departure and the approach in. We can brief ourselves on the departure.
Catering vehicles.
And let's just have a quick listen to ATIS.
Fuel truck is in position. Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
And Beyond ATC's decided not to play today. Oh dear, you couldn't write this, could you really? You couldn't write. Oh, here we go.
Wind 050 er 7. Visibility 10 miles or more. Fuel clouds er 1.500. Ceiling 4.200 brokken. Temperature
Please use your airplane fuel system to set the desired fuel quantity.
QNH 1017. VFR conditions. Landing and departing runway 06. Transition level 070.
Let's have a look at what the runway 06 departure looks like. See, of course, the runway 4 departure takes us out to the southwest and then around, and that's just a lovely view. The 06 is just going to be much more of a direct route to NELSU, but maybe we'll run with that. So let's just change that. So we'll go runway 6, and then we'll select the NONVU. Sorry, the NELSU Echo for NONVU. There we go. It'll still be scenic enough, I'm sure. You know. Okay, so we've changed that here, and we need to change that in the map view. So I'm just going to go to tower on frequency just to get rid of the ATIS. So ENAL departure runway 06, and it was a NELSU Echo. Insert. And we just scroll down just to make sure there's no discontinuities, and there is now. So, actually, is that the right one? Did I just make an error? NELSU Echo NELSU. Yeah, so that goes to... Yeah, so we just need to get rid of the discontinuity there. Because if you look at the flight plan, let's go to plan mode, scroll down that list, there'll be a break. So it finishes at NELSU and it picks up again at NONVU. So we'll just get rid of that disco, clear button, pop it into the disco and insert. And now they're linked. There we go. Okay, so we've now switched from runway 24 to runway 06. I guess that's quite a useful thing to see how you would manage that. We'll go to the return here. We've got another load sheet, and again we could read it or not. And let's look at the departure, this time for the runway 06. So we've got actual above 3,300, and then there's no other speed or altitude constraint to NELSU. So this depends really on what ATC will give us. So what I'm going to do is going to dial in initially just as a, for instance, 5,000 feet, and that we can change when they give us our clearance. Okay, so how are we doing here? We're not quite fueled. Let's have a quick look outside. We've got the refueling truck. They will have those digits somewhere. Where are they? There they are. You can see how much they're uplifting. Because the aircraft already has some fuel in it, so it's actually uplifting, you know, the difference between what we had and what we need. This is amazing, isn't it? Okay. And we've got the stairs ready. Norwegian and Widerøe. I think that livery looks a bit wrong. It's all in black. Okay, and what else have we got? That's it. Okay. Catering service is
Boarding
complete.
requested.
Boarding's requested. So this is one of those airports where the passenger will walk out of the gate. And of course, to see all the passenger movements, you would need GSX, which is a separate purchase. Is it worth it? Well, it adds a degree of immersion. Actually, it adds more than a degree of immersion because all the ground handling is beautifully realistic, and especially when you see the passengers, even more so when you see the passengers walk on board and take their seats. It's straightforward to use, but it does need constant updating because they always do a lot of work on it, and they add new features and change things as aircraft are updated. But we should see the passengers walk out from the terminal along the walkways and to the aircraft. So the stairs are moving into position, and then the doors will open. Oh, we've got loaders. So there go the doors. Let's look at the loaders. He's probably just driven right through the fueling truck. Alright, so we're fully fueled now. And they're loading the containers. It's amazing how it all works. That's the APU door there. That's the APU inlet, and the APU itself will be somewhere in the tail through here. Little jet engine. Right, let's get back inside. So we're fully fueled, so we just need to check. 7,837, 7,837, perfect. Okay, so we can put our passenger signs on, because you don't have the passengers belted as you're refueling on the ground. And we do the fuel pumps, all 6 of them. There we go. Right. What we can do, we can put the PA system on, so we can hear the cabin crew. I'm going to retract my armrest, and we can open the door. We have enjoy this bit. So we've got our stewardess there. Unflattering view of her. Okay, there we go. So they're walking down the aisle, and they're going to take up their seats. Let's see them come from the. There you go. So they're coming from the terminal here. You can see them exiting the terminal, going through the walkways. They're doing this quite accurately because I have a GSX profile for this airport. And this is a nicely detailed freeware airport, and there is a GSX profile. You would need the GSX profile for any particular airport you've got installed. Generic ones might work, but then you might have the passengers walking through buildings or lampposts or other objects, whereas a dedicated GSX profile, gives routes for passengers to walk. Where is it? Oh, there we go. So here we've got the cones and the tapes to cordon off the aircraft from the passengers. So realistic, isn't it? Look at that. Is it worth it? I think it is. Not very expensive GSX. It just adds a lot of immersion and yeah, complication a little bit, but worthwhile. Right. So we've got the fuel on board. And we've got quite a few passengers today. There's not much we can do here, but I'm going to give it a bit of floodlighting. This here operates the floodlights on the panel here. So at night time, you've got nice downlighting to illuminate the panel. I like that. I don't think they use it so much in the real world. At night time, they just prefer just to have the backlighting of all the all the panels, and you've got other lighting, of course, in the aircraft. You know, most of it works in the Fenix. Okay, so we've got 72 passengers, not even halfway there yet. He's got a bit of a funny head, this chappie here. Don't think he's drawn very well. Get off your mobile phone, Sonny Jim. No. I'm going to tell the cabin crew to boot him off. Who do you think you are? Actually, I think it is okay to have your phone. You might want to be taking pictures. Oh, he's at it again. Behave yourself, matey. I think it is okay to have to take pictures, and I'm not sure whether it's good protocol to use your phone as you walk into the aircraft. It might be frowned upon because you're not paying attention to what you're doing, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of danger. He's having a bad hair day, this chap. Yeah, there's engines, there's things to walk into, things to trip up on, and the airline doesn't want to be liable for your stupidity. So I'll have words with them.
Riktigt god morgon, varmt välkommen ombord. När du funnit din plats ber vi att du tar ett steg åt sidan så de bakom kan passera. Det finns även plats för handbagage under stolen framför.
So
På första raden eller vid nödutgång måste allt handbagage och
the Fenix with the PA system switched on can play a whole variety of sounds, and you can download packs. So if you're flying EasyJet, you can download an EasyJet sound pack, or British Airways, or Alitalia, Air France, or whomever else, and you just install them. I'll show you where that is. So we'll just go to F, Fenix, here, announcements, and here I've got installed, I can't remember who FC is, that's Air France, that's British Airways, that's the default one. EasyJet, that's French B, Scandinavian, that's Volaris, I think, and that's Vueling. Could be the other way around, I'm not sure. So, and you can plug in a whole system of different voices, and it reads the configuration file for your aircraft, the ICAO code, and then it plays the appropriate sounds for your airline. Right then, so boarding is completed, so we have got no passengers. Well, this is the thing about GSX. You should see passengers, but you do also have to update your livery when you install the livery. And I've only just installed this livery, so my failure not updating GSX on this livery. Okay, but that's okay. Close the door. We will lock it. Let's get our clearance from ATC. And what we'll do, we'll send this to the MACD. So send to MACD. Success. Initial climb to 6,000 and we've got the data there. Okay. So we've got a Squawk 1145.
NELSU 2 Echo
to click clear twice. 1145. Then we go to auto, and we go to Tara. Sorry, TA.
Scandinavian 995, read back correct.
Right then. So we're now on runway 06. So we are facing sort of south east, and so we need to push back to the north, so that's nose to the left. Okay, so let's request push and start,
Scandinavian 995,
and we will request push and start from GSX.
Scandinavian 995, Vägre Tower, pushback approved. Face southwest.
Southwest.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face southwest, Scandinavian 995.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
No, in fact they are right. I need to push back facing southwest. It's actually nose right. My bad. My bad. Yeah, of course we should be pushing back opposite the departure direction. Oops. Right then, so we can get our beacon on. We can do our performance calculation.
Check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
We sync the load sheet. Sync the weather. Well, that's done already. Calculate. So we've got a flex of 53, flaps 2, and 26, 32, 35. So send to the MACD. And remember, we checked 2 places. There's our V1 speed.
Gear.
And here, V speeds, everything says flaps 2 today. And there's another load sheet. I'll accept that. And then we can go to progress page. So we want to go nose right. So we've got to remove the chocks. Ground services, chocks and cones.
Release parking brakes.
And now we can release our parking brake.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at wheel.
Right, so starter goes on to ignition start. And we get our engine instruments, and then we can do start number 2.
Cabin
And
crew
start our
on doors
clock.
and cross check.
So spinning the inner core up, we should see some oil pressure. PSI is, yeah, it's rising. Oil temperature, well, not yet. So we'll next one got some fuel flow. Where's the fuel flow? Here, fuel
We'll now
flow.
perform a safety demonstration. Please remove
Then
your
we'll have
headset
some
and pay close attention.
light up, so
Someone will follow in
ignition.
English. Ja, vi kommer nu hålla en demonstration om utrustningen ombord. Det är därför att du tar av dina hörlurar och lyssnar uppmärksamt. En sammanfattning finns ombord på Safety ombordkortet i stolsfickan. Besättningen ombord är för din säkerhet och det är viktigt att du följer våra instruktioner ombord. Säkerhetsbältet spänn fast och öppnas så här. Och det ska alltid vara fastspänt när skylten med säkerhetsbältet är tätt. Vi rekommenderar att du behåller bältet fastspänt när du sitter med brakes. Syrgas behövs, öppnas panelen automatiskt och maskerna blir synliga. Dra ner masken
I'm
med
not
kraft
sure if
och
we're told to put our
tryck.
brakes on. I think we
Näsan
were.
andas normalt. Justera bandet för att hålla masken på plats och ta för engine start.
Right, available number 2, so we'll start number 1.
Flytvästen finns under din stol. Dra västen över huvudet. Lägg bandet runt midjan. Fäst spännet och dra åt bandet.
So let's
Det är först när
reset
du
the
lämnar
clock.
flygplanen genom utgången när du blåser upp västen genom att dra den röda brickan. Behövs mer luft.
And now
använder du
GSX just want to
på
know that
sidan.
we've got both engines
Lampa tänds
started.
automatiskt vid
I should wait till
kontaktbandet.
the first one is number 1 is
Nu är det gångarna
running,
bak.
but
Över vingarna och
turn
genom
that now.
dämpdelar
We have a good
på
engine start.
exit.
You can disconnect.
So we've got fuel flow, got light up,
Finns.
and we got oil pressure, and the oil temperature is
Det går bra att använda elektronisk utrustning och wifi så länge flight mode är aktiverat under hela flygningen. Om du landar utrustningen,
Very
övervaka
good.
enheten under laddning och
So-
kontakta besättningen om enheten blir varm eller producerar rök.
we got a good start,
Samtliga
and we should get
SS-flygningar är
available
rökfria, det gäller
soon
även på toaletterna
any
och
second.
inkluderar elektroniska cigaretter. Vi tackar för uppmärksamheten och önskar er en trevlig resa. I would like to summarize some of the safety information included in the safety
Available.
on board card in this
Right, so what we can do now,
The crew
switch
is
off
on
the
board for your
start
safety and it is
master,
important you follow our instructions.
put on our transponder to Tara,
Always keep your seatbelt fastened
Flap
whenever the
2.
seatbelt sign is on. We recommend that you keep your
Flaps
belt fastened
2
whenever
connected.
seatbelt.
Bypass pin removed.
If oxygen
We
is
can
needed, a panel above you will open and a mask will
arm
be
Left is
our
clear.
Right
Right is
spoilers.
under your seat. The emergency
and we
exit
can
is
do
in
the
off,
3
all the
switches
wings
up
and
here,
in
the
forward
3
above,
buttons,
cabin
APU
off,
bleed
exit
off,
signs. Light
program
and
with
dial
heat
to your
on,
nearest exit. Look for
APU
your nearest
master
exit
off.
as it may be located behind you. And all cabin luggage must be left behind in case of evacuation.
And we
You're
can
welcome
select
to use electronic
auto
devices
brakes
and
to
Wi-Fi
max
as long as
launches
flight mode is
for the
activated
rejected
during
takeoff
flight.
RTO setting.
If you're charging your equipment, be sure to monitor your devices
Right,
during
so we can
charge.
just stop the
Contact
clock.
a crew member if your device
Don't
becomes
need that.
hot or produces smoke.
And we now
Smoking and the
need
use of
to
electronic cigarettes
see
is not
our
allowed on
chappy
SAS
there.
flights, including
I think
in
he's probably
laboratories.
waved the flags at me
Thank you for
already.
your attention and wish you
Have
a
you?
pleasant flight.
Have you? Oi, you. Oh dear. Honestly, you can't get the staff, can you? Right, let's call up for taxi. So, request taxi to
Scandinavian
runway.
995. Request taxi to the active.
Scandinavian 995. Runway 06 taxi via 13 Delta.
All right, we'll taxi to runway 06 via
I hate
13
it when
Delta.
Beyond ATC
Scandinavian
does
995.
colloquialisms all right. It's just like, you're never going to hear that from an airline pilot. All right. Kids, I really detest it. Right, part brake off. As usual with IE engines, we will just start to roll on residual thrust, and we can just add to that a little bit. Okay. And this runway, we need to backtrack a little bit.
Cabin crew, take your seats.
Right, so we've had the cabin crew tell us that they're ready. We've got a couple more things to do, which I meant to do but completely forgot. We'll just come to a... Is there a hold here? Or is that the hold there? Is that the hold up there? I think it probably is. So, predictive wind shear can come on, weather radar also on, and we're on Tara, so we're good there. And now we can do the takeoff config. There we go, takeoff is normal, so we've got the correct configuration. And now we can say, let's request departure.
Scandinavian 995. Holding short. Runway 06.
Scandinavian 995, Vägre Tower, wind 050 at 7, runway 06, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 06 cleared for takeoff. Scandinavian 995.
Right, so as always with the Fenix, nose gear can go to takeoff. Sorry, nose gear lights can go to takeoff, and we can do both left and right landing lights in one fell swoop by putting the cursor in the middle. Okay, so we're set with our lights. Our cabin is ready. Our configuration is correct.
07.
We'll just check. So we can't really look out there, but my co-pilot will be looking out the window saying, yeah, clear on the right. I'm looking out there going, yeah, we're clear on the left. No, wait, there's a boat. Well, that's not going to really affect us. So let's get them lined up. And we'll just back taxi. Back taxi is
On
American
runway
for
25.
backtrack. So the A321, obviously longer, carries more passengers. You've got more exit options. So there's no wing exits, but you've got an additional 2 doors. One there, one there. And it's got higher rated thrust engines.
Caution, short runway,
And
short
I'm just going
runway.
to slow down a little bit. That's RAS, runway awareness and advisory and awareness system. I think it's RAAS. And it's just a freeware add-on, originally made for FSX, believe it or not.
100 remaining.
Still works in MSFS. So let's get lined up.
On runway
We'll come to a stop.
07.
Okay, so we're at a stop. So we're cleared for takeoff. We've had that already. I can put my clock on. Remember, the most valuable thing for a pilot, not just the paycheck, but it's the hours they log. Okay, so forward pressure on the stick as always until 100 knots. So bringing the engines up, spooling them up. I should hear the word stable. Okay, I'll just go straight to toga. Toga.
Flex set. Airspeed alive.
Oh, sorry, flex, not toga. So, flex, airspeed alive, 100 knots.
100 knots.
Back pressure is released. It's a bit of a wobbly runway, isn't it?
V1.
V1.
Rotate.
So, rotate. So, V1 is, and see there's no vertical
Positive
line
climb.
until you get to, what is it, 100 feet, 200 feet? Okay, now I can do gear up, because we have positive climb.
Gear up.
And I'm going to just follow those crosshairs.
Scandinavian 995. Contact more departure
So we can put the autopilot on. I'm going to let that do the work, but because Airbus is so stable, incredibly stable, you could literally just point the airplane and follow the departure or the arrival, just because you just keep those crosshairs centered. Right, climb thrust. Let's bring the throttles back to climb.
Climb set.
Climb set. So we've got 2 stages of flap, so we can retract one of them now.
Climb to flight level 180,
Flaps
Scandinavian
1.
995.
And we've got climb to flight level 180. I'm going to set that now. Remember, there was no constraints on the departure, so I'm not worried about constraints here, but we will switch on constraints in case something is shown. In fact, we've got a speed limit there. I didn't realise we had a speed limit. I didn't see that. And now we can do flaps up, flaps and slats up. Okay, so you always check the speed, then you put the flaps up.
Flaps up.
Flaps up. Okay, so gear is up. So spoilers disarm. Nose wheel lights off. Turn off lights off. Okay, so we've cleaned up. I'm going to get that chart in now. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, 230. I see. I completely missed it. You can't see the wood for the trees sometimes.
Riktigt god morgon mina damer och herrar, återigen varmt välkommen ombord. Inom kort kommer jag och mina kollegor påbörja vår servering. Reser du med oss i SAS Plus så bjuder vi på en
so
lite lättare frukost.
V1, what is that? That is the
Reser du med oss i SAS har vi snacks och kalla drycker till försäljning.
the speed at which,
Stolsfickan framför.
if you have a problem, you abort your takeoff. Okay, you still got room to stop safely before the end of the runway ahead of you. Okay, so as you put the thrust to flex or toga, you hold onto the throttles. You keep your hand on the throttles loosely, just covering them. Okay, and at V1, again, I'll repeat, it's the point at which you can safely abort your takeoff if you lose an engine or you have a tyre go or something like that. Beyond V1, you commit to taking off. So what happens at V1, when the first officer calls V1, or the pilot not flying calls V1, you symbolically take your hand away from your throttles, okay? Which means that you can't retard them. You take any problem into the air, because it's safer to get into the air at that point than it is to stop, because you don't have enough runway left to stop safely. Right, we're just going through the transition, so we can go to standard pressure. Oops, my bad. Standard pressure is set and checked. We've got flight level 180 set and checked, and the aircraft now has gone through the 230 speed limit waypoint, so it's now accelerating to 250, which is the maximum speed below 10,000. And this is just as much of a scenic departure as runway 24, so yeah, I mean, it's just very special. Anyway, in Norway, you can't really go wrong. Just look at that. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so we can zoom out on the map because it's not showing us anything other than our straight line. So let's just zoom out, and let's zoom out again because we've just got a single waypoint. Not really telling us anything, you know. Now we've got a couple of waypoints and a couple of turns, and the point at which we'll reach flight level 180. So flight level 100 or 10,000 feet pretty much. It's accelerating out to its climb speed of 312 knots. What I can do is to switch off the landing lights, and we're not really out of the clouds. They look like they go out quite a way, so I'm just going to keep them belted in. What I really enjoy is Norway in the winter when the weather is a bit inclement. Of course, then you don't get to see the beauty of this country. It's just staggeringly beautiful. So yeah, the penalty is if you like the bad weather, which I do, because it tests your flying, it pushes you, you know, it exercises your mind. You don't get to see the rugged landscapes below you. Okay, so not much more to do, I guess. We will get to our cruise. We'll get clearance to our cruise as we approach flight level 180. Go back to the we're on the climb page. Remember, this is VNAV because we're in managed mode. Okay, and it automatically puts us onto the climb page, where we can adjust the rate at which we climb by changing the cost index. Okay, so go back to the route or the flight plan, and we're all good. I'm sure any second they'll give us a new frequency to check in with. And just a quick word about the Fenix. I mean, I know I wax lyrical about them because they're just, I mean, I've never known such an immersive aircraft. It's just lovely. And I know a lot of you have got the A320. Is it worth getting the 319 and 321s extension pack? For me, yes, because you get a lot of variety. The 319 is a lot more capable of landing in and out of, operating in and out of shorter runways, smaller airfields, regional strips. The 321 will do much longer legs. So, yeah, it's all, in my opinion, worthwhile. But in terms of operation, they are exactly the same. There is literally no difference, because all the numbers, the computations, the speeds, the performance, and so on is all contained in in the package. Right, so we got clearance now to 370. So let's just dial that in. 370, and there we go. So set, checked, and we're still unmanaged, so the aircraft will continue to climb. So there's literally no difference in how you operate them. The A330 and the A340 are different. They've got obviously different panels, different number of batteries at the top. So yeah, you operate those, but really technically from the MCDU it's pretty much the same. Okay, so I think we are good, and nothing much is going to happen now until we get to the cruise. One more thing, I'll just let them out of their seats, and always remember just to keep an eye on the ECAS display here with the messages. I forgot about the seat belts, that I hadn't switched them off because we were still below cloud. But I looked there and I saw the reminder that the seatbelt signs were still on, so that's useful check to see what's going on. Okay, and if there are error messages, you've got the recall button here. Okay, recall there. Okay, and you press that, and any error messages or failures or alerts and will be listed here. Right then, so let's have a look outside. Not much more to do now. Well, when I say that, I mean still the land thing, isn't it? But yeah, it's a nice livery, isn't it? Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Right, I'll see you at the other end. Alright, take care. So welcome back. We're just mid-cruise at the moment and we're running at 4 times rate, so I don't think we're going to be at mid-cruise for very long. In fact, we're about 240 or so miles from our top of descent. You can just see that sort of downward arrow there, that white arrow. I thought we'd do the arrival briefing. Okay, so we are on the A321 mic. Okay, and we're going to stick with runway 18. Okay, so the A321 mic. If Beyond ATC tell us that we're going to be on 360, I'll do my thing anyway. So ATWEG, we need to be at or above 6,000 feet, and that is I don't know what is the transition here. 7,000 feet. Okay, so that's definitely an altitude, not a flight level. So 6,000 feet at or above. And then we've got this leg here which is 20 miles pretty much. And we've got this leg here which is 22 miles. And we've got this leg at 16 miles. Then we get to NONVU, and that's at or above 5,000. So we definitely don't want to be at ATWEG at 6,000, because then we've got something like 60, 70 miles, you know, at a very low altitude, burning an awful lot of fuel. And these aircraft are not very fuel efficient lower down, much more fuel efficient higher up. So we're not going to pay attention to that. If we're in a lighter aircraft, maybe a turboprop, then yeah, maybe we'd need to think about, you know, this. But anyway, that's at or above. Okay, so we can just sort of kind of disregard that. The one that matters is NONVU, because that's at above 5,000, and that NONVU is where we pick up the ILS. So again, if you remember in my previous video I said you might have to go ferreting around for additional plates. Sometimes they are presented to you, and we've got 2 now for the ILS runway 18. This one, which is the actual ILS, and this one, which is the minimums. And we can see that for Cat D is 1,032 feet on the Barrow. And let's go back through here.
Scandinavian 4414.
No, 338 feet. What do you think that's about? I'm not really sure what that's about. We'll disregard it. So 338 feet, so we'll do 350 on the
Scandinavian 4414.
on the MACD.
QNH101.
So NONVU, and it was at or above 5,000, and you can see here that NONVU, that's the minimum altitude for this short 6-mile section. Then we get to Ogbud, okay, and that should be shown here, and that kind of no, that's Baxus. Baxus is saying 4,500 feet. So NONVU will get to 5,000. Ogbud at 5,000. Baxus at 4,500. Okay, so I mean we could just disregard 5,000 here. We could just make Ogbud 5,000, but then we might have to slow down, and that's not a very long, you know, stretch. So let's stick with the plan. Let's just go 5,000 at NONVU, 5,000 at Ogbud, Baxus 4.5. So let's just check those are correct in the MACD. Let's go to flight plan.
607, Polaris control identified.
So NONVU, it's saying 7,350. Actually, you know what? I'm tempted to leave it. Ogbud at 5,000. That I'm going to tell it to be at 5,000. And what? backsas at 4,500 rather than at or above. So I like just to tidy this up by making them exact. There we go. Lovely. Right, so we've adjusted that, so now what might happen is that the top of descent might change. It hasn't really, it's remained pretty static. Let's just zoom in. There we go. So we're about 100 or so miles from our top of descent. Okay, and we are going at 4 times sim rate at the moment. I guess we can do landing calculations. So let's look at the our current weight. We're at 69,600. Let's call 68 tons landing weight. I mean, that's not very accurate. 68. Enter. Low water brake, flat full, manual, idle reverse, auto throttle on. It's dry at the moment. We should check that.
Videro 710, cleared direct Fenix.
Tromsø weather is few 2,100, scattered 3,000, broken 5,000. Temperature is 11, dew point 7, QX1012, and there's no wind, there's no rain there. And in fact, it is coming from the south, so we should be on runway 18, which is good. So, yeah, it's dry, so we can now apply the meter. So on low auto brake, well, yeah, that's using quite a bit of that runway and got much of a stop margin. Let's go medium water brake. Yeah, so this is going to be a medium water brake landing. You can see because low is pretty much all of the runway. It is 2,450 meters and we need 2,100, so that's not enough of a margin. We're going to go medium. Okay. Right then, so what we need to do now is go to our weather, go to arrival, refresh the weather, and we've got 1012. Right, so we're now coming to 20 miles from the top of descent. So I'm just going to go to normal speed. There we go. Go back to flight plan, and we need to put our destination weather in. So we go to the approach page, and we've got 1012 for the QNH.
Scandinavian 995, ATWEG 1 Mac, runway 18. Report ready for descent.
So they've just given us the ATWEG 1 mic, and we're happy with that. It's runway 18. We want the temperature, which is 11. Let's put chilly up there. 11. And the wind is 1903 knots.
Barby 1 Mac, runway 18. Report ready for descent.
Okay, and we want the minimums, and that was, I think, 350 we said. 340, but we should add, well, let's put 340 in, or let's do 338, goodness. Not in the mood. So we go on the barometer, on the baro, otherwise we could use the radio altimeter, which comes up in the middle of the PFD, and that literally just measures your instantaneous altitude above the ground. So if you're above a hill, it's going to measure the distance between the top of the hill and your aircraft. Right, so we need to start descending. So we'll call ready for descent.
Scandinavian 995, ready for descent.
And we'll see what they give us.
Scandinavian 995, descent to flight level 230.
Flight level 230, that's set.
Center flight level 230,
Checked.
Scandinavian 995.
And we can start a managed descent. Alright, managed, got the little dot. The aircraft will now just descend slowly okay, until it reaches the actual top of descent, which you'll see here is that blue zigzag. We said medium auto brakes, let's put that on. Set. Passenger signs are off, so we've got those to go. Company message, let's take a look. So MacDo, ATSU, AOC, messages, well, what does that say? I have no idea. I'm going to ignore it and go back to the progress page. I could look it up, I'm really not fussed. Just think about SimPilot, say. Just do as we please. So we are actually 60 miles pretty much from the airport, but our track miles is not 60, it's considerably more because we've got to go pretty much 20 miles north of the airport and then back 20 miles. So it's nearly 100 miles track miles to go. Right, so we're just approaching that zigzag descent point. You can see the green VNAV profile dot in the middle of the altitude tape, and the aircraft is now descending at 3,000 feet per minute. Okay, so we're good. Let's take a look outside. I just love flying here in the winter when it's all just white, and you know, some of the sea is frozen. We're very north at the moment. We're actually, let's just take a look, just remind ourselves how far north we are. Yeah, we are in the Arctic Circle. There is actually this area here. There's an airport here called Svalbard. There it is. Svalbard, Longyear, Svalbard, and there is a base there, and that's quite fun to fly into. But I would say exciting, not really. It's like any of the mainland Norwegian airports. Then you've got a long overwater stretch instead. Okay, so let's get back into our cockpit. We're nearly at ATWEG, which is the start of the procedure, and as you remember, we've only got two constraints there, disregarding the first one, and the second one we're going to get to at 5,000. Look at that scene. Don't you look at it? It's just wow. Wow. So it's a bit heavier. The wings are much the same as the A319 and 320. There is a difference though. The flaps have got an extra slot. These are what are called slotted Fowler flaps. So it's got an extra layer, I think, on the inboard section. And it's a lot harder to slow down. So the aircraft is actually struggling a little bit to maintain the descent profile, telling me more drag. So let's just use my spoiler. We'll give it 3/4, and we'll just help it decelerate. We'll help it catch up with the descent profile. Worth keeping an eye on, and we've caught up with it now, so I'm just going to retract the spoiler a little bit. Let's just see, is it working? Yeah, it is. Okay. And we can pretty much zoom in because we'll have at least a little bit of information shown on our screen. And we've got descent now to 5,000, so So 5,000 we've got dialed in, set, checked. Let's go back to managed mode, press the button, and the aircraft will continue its descent. But we're above the profile. How far above the profile are we? You can see that on the First Officer's Progress page. We are 800 feet higher than we should be, and that is actually now, it's decreasing, so it's catching it up. Not by much. More drag. Okay, let's do more drag. In fact, I'm going to use this here, because my honeycomb seems to be a bit broken at the moment. The I think it's got some dirt in the potentiometer, so it's catching up the profile very adequately. That's good. We can just put the speed brake back. So it just has a little bit more trouble. Is that a problem? No, because you have to fly the aeroplane. This is what it's all about. You've got to fly the aeroplane. You've got to keep ahead of it, keep on top of it, manage it, fly it. That's what we're here to do. You know, and all the information is here. We've just got to be ahead of it. It's a book. We're reading it like a book. So, let's look at the approach plate. ILS approach plate. Right, so we've got a couple of things that we can add here. We can got Tromsø VOR, we've got Svalsund NDB, and we got the ILS and the course. So 1099, 183. Let's check that first. Let's go to radio navigation. So 1099. TR is the identifier. We'll check that. TR, Tango Romeo, Tromsø. And course is 182. We'll check that. Course 183. Discrepancy. Only by 1 degree. I'm happy to run with what the aircraft has. I don't know which is out of date. This could be out of date. The aircraft could be out of date, but there's a discrepancy. If it was like 3-4 degrees, I'd be a bit more concerned. That's 1 degree, so we're good. And we need to get now the other nav aids in. Why do we need the other nav aids? More nav aids, the more pointy things you've got, the better your situational awareness is. Let's do 362. That's an NDB. So we're going to put that into ADF 1 here. So 362, ADF 1, Kilo Victor, and we'll switch that on. It is here. Goes to ADF. Now we've got a little pointy arrow pointing at KV. Then we want the VOR, and that is 1138. We can put that into 1138. It's already there. Okay. Now this is an interesting thing here. We could put the frequency in 1138. Okay, and it would give us exactly what we've got here. We could just put the ident in, and we would need to do that with a slash. So let's just look at that quickly. So if we did the Morse ident, it would be da dit da dit da da da. Okay, TRO. We could just use TRO, slash TRO, enter it into the scratch pad, put it into write 1, and it will come up with slash TRO and the frequency. So anyway, all I'm saying is that we've got the nav, the VOR already there. We're going to switch it on. There. So we've got 2 pointy arrows now. The aircraft is now slowing down, and it's slowing down to 250 knots for 10,000 feet. Okay, so let's have a quick look outside. Beautiful, isn't it? Okay, and I will be back in a short while. Welcome back to the stream. So we are just descending to 5,000 at NONVU, and The aircraft is slowing now to 250 below 10,000.
755, Scandinavian 995.
We forgot to switch the passenger signs on. We'll do that now. We'll put the landing lights on.
Scandinavian 995. Good day. Flight level 106. We have Quebec
And we haven't
on
gone
board.
through the transition level yet. We can zoom in on the map, and we can put the landing system on, which will give us the ILS, the horizontal scale deviation index and the vertical deviation index.
Expect the ILSU,
There we go.
runway 18
1099
Scandinavian
Tango Romeo.
995.
And you remember that we've got the two arrows, one the NDB in white and the blue the VOR. No, other way around, I think.
Clear direct non-RU. Cross non-RU at or above
So it's the
5,000
white is the
feet.
VOR
Cleared
and the green is the
ILSU, runway
NDB.
18 Scandinavian 995.
Ja, vi ska nu förbereda kabinen för landning. Tyngre föremål som väger mer än 1 kilo, exempelvis en lapp.
Okay, so we've just had clearance for the ILS approach.
Placera handbagaget under stolen framför eller bakom
ILS
kylan.
Zulu runway 18,
Spänn fast säkerhetsbältet, fäll upp
cross
stolsövergången. Det ska
non-route
nu vara
at or above
flygsignal
5,000.
jet. We're now preparing the cabin for landing. We ask you to fasten your seatbelt, raise seat back and tray table to an upright position, and ensure
So
the window
just a
light is
reminder,
open.
we've got
Cabin lighters
all
must be
brakes
placed
are medium,
underneath the seat in front of you.
our
or in the
spoilers
cabin.
aren't armed,
Items heavier than 1 kilo, for example, a laptop, must now be stowed in your
and
cabin
we're
baggage.
currently
Thank you.
flaps 0. So it's 5,000, then we've got 5,000 at Ogbod, and then 4,500 at Baxas. And the aircraft is just looking now to continue its descent after having decelerated to 250. So there we go, you've got the green dot, and that's pretty much in the middle. I tell you, the Fenix is superb. What's the outside? Oh, right, we're in a bit of cloud. So we'll get the engine anti-ice on, because we're coming from a much higher altitude where the air is very cold. The airframe will be very cold, and cloud of course is visible moisture, so anti-icing systems go on. We should just get a weather update. So the meter, so presently variable 2 knots, all the 9s, that's 10k or more, 2,800, scattered 3,800,
Cabin
broken
crew, take your
5,100,
seats.
and temperature is 12, dew point is 7, QNH 1013. Okay, so I think we're good. Just starting our turn now, non-route. It's breathtaking scenery. I'll just keep the anti-icing on just in case we run into more cloud. We're still at 7,400 feet, and we know that the cloud goes down to 3,800, I think it was. 2,800 in fact. So there we've got the localizer and the glide slope. Our barometric pressure is flashing, that means we've just gone through the transition. So we can go to QNH 1013, which we know is correct, we just looked it up. So we're below the glide, that's important. And you can see we're being buffeted around a little bit. That's because we're just hitting a little bit of cloud. That's active sky. It's brilliant. Look at this terrain. And it's even more dramatic in snow. There you've got the lower level of cloud, 2,800. Okay, so we're just going to establish now, so we've put the approach mode on. We can go to our performance page, and you can see the aircraft is already on the approach phase is activated, so it's slowing down now. When we get past the speed limit for flaps, we'll go flap 1. That will increase our drag There we go, so flap 1, so speed checked, flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
That will increase our drag, slow us down even more so we can get to flaps 2 when we get past the speed limit. Okay, so we're now on the localizer and on the glide. So it backs us 4,500 pretty much. And we still have 10 to run to Tromsø. Let's look at the approach plate just very quickly. So Tromsø is actually not on the airfield, it's just slightly to the north and east of the airfield. So the DME to Tromsø is going to be slightly less, but not very much to the runway. The distance to the runway is 8.6.
995 ILS Zulu runway 18.
And that's 7.2. 0.1 of a mile in there, I think.
Scandinavian 995, Tromsø Tower, wind 040 runway 18.
We've just gone past the NDB. See the
Runway
needle
18
swinging
cleared to
around.
land, Scandinavian 995.
And we might need to help it decelerate with a bit of spoiler. So let's do that. So okay, so we got the speed prediction tape. Go flap 2 now. Gear can come down.
Gear down. Flaps 2.
Gears down so we can do turn off lights. Nose lights on. Flap 3 speed any second. Flap 3. And now we can
Flap
put
3.
the spoilers in. And arm. And now we can go flaps full. And we need to
Full
remember
flaps.
what the approach speed is. It's 139, so we go with 139 on the speed. We can look up front.
Approaching 18.
There we go. In IFR flying, instrument flight rules, it's all about flying inside, not outside. Okay, so autopilot can come off. Oops, let's switch the klaxon off. There we go.
Spoilers up.
Forward pressure on the stick.
1,200 remaining.
Spoilers are up.
Screen.
We're
Decel.
decelerating.
900 remaining.
100 knots.
70 knots.
We can now slow
Auto
slow
brake
it down.
off.
Auto brake off. Reverse is stowed. And we can take this turn off to the right.
Exit next available taxiway, Scandinavian 995.
It's not unusual for crew to switch off the autopilot that late in the game. And we've got another one of those black
Ja, mina damer och herrar, och
Dash
jag önskar er
8.
hjärtligt välkomna.
Sorry, yeah, Dash 8 400, Q400.
Säkerhetsbältet fastspänt, håller stolsrygg och bordupphällan.
Okay, and we'll come to stop the other side of the hold.
Var försiktig när du öppnar bagagehyllan.
Put our flaps up. We will stow our spoilers.
Gör en extra koll så att du inte glömt kvar något ombord.
And we will switch up.
Uppmärksam på nivåskillnad
No,
mellan
the
flygplanet
landing
och
lights
bryggan
off.
eller trappen
Put
när
our
du
nose
stiger.
light taxi.
Rökning är tillåtet först när du
Switch
kommer
on
till ett
our
ursprungsområde.
APU master. Switch off the probe heat. Switch on the APU bleed. Time we've done all that, the APU can be started. So,
Tack så mycket och önskar er en
there we go. Welcome to
Ladies and gentlemen, warm welcome. For safety reasons, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened. Keep seat back and tray belt upright. The escape route free from all cabin baggage until the
And
fasten
this
seatbelt sign
airport's
has been
got
switched
lots of
off.
gates.
Please be careful when
And
opening the
just
overhead
in
compartment to prevent baggage from falling
park
out.
ourselves.
And before leaving the aircraft,
Under
please
there.
check that you don't forget anything aboard. When disembarking, please observe the possible difference in level between the aircraft and the gate
gonna
bridge or
check.
stairs.
Yes,
Smoking
spoilers
is
are
only
attractive.
permitted in designated smoking areas. We hope that you enjoyed your flight with us at SES and SkyTeam. We look forward to seeing you on board again. From all of us at SES, until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Right, we'll take the one next to our company aircraft there. Gate 20 by the looks of things. So we don't want to blind anybody on the ground. So we'll switch off the turn off lights, switch off the nose lights, and we'll just chug in on residual thrust. So there's a Norwegian 737 800, I think. There's an Airbus A320, I think. And again, I'll just follow the yellow bit road, put that yellow line just above the screw head there, and we know we're on the yellow line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to external view, because there are no safe dock systems, I don't think, yet in MSFS 2020. They're the ones that give you guidance all the way to your aircraft designated stopping zone. So anyway, ours is there, just coming up now. Yeah. There we go. Will do. I'll put the park brake on, and number 1, number 2, APU's all on, beacon can come off, passenger signs can come off,
The boarding requested.
and we'll do to board. And I don't know whether we're going to get the... Oh yeah, the jetway's coming in.
And cross-check.
There we go. So, that, as they say, is that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative, instructional, and yeah, I did. So, I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Alright, take care all. Goodbye.